And it's my honor to welcome our first storyteller to come to the stage, a young man who I look up to, literally, and who is my friend and dear brother. Welcome, Mr. Solomon Davis.
How y'all doing? Like he said, I'm Solomon Davis, and I'm a junior here at Pacifica. Joy is a very bold word, but if I had one word to describe this place, it would be joy. During my freshman and sophomore years, I went to school in the Inland Empire, and that's where I currently reside. At that time, I identified myself as a basketball player, and that was the reason why I chose to go to that school. That school wasn't healthy for me. Everything about it was opposite of what I needed and wanted. During my freshman year, I endured some difficult things with friends and life at school, but I thought, I'm a freshman, that's just to be expected. My sophomore year came around, and things didn't get better. It was a struggle to get through the year, and in April of that year, travel basketball was starting up. It was the second tournament of the season, and I was playing a game, and all of a sudden, my ankle broke. The physical pain was nothing compared to the emotional and mental pain I endured. I went to the hospital that night. They put a makeshift cast on, and as soon as that last wrap went around my leg, I felt as though I was being dragged down into an inescapable abyss. I had an identity crisis. I asked myself, who am I if I can't play basketball? I'm nothing, I replied. That night, my world flipped upside down. I became very angry, sad, confused, easily influenced, and quite frankly, disconnected from everything, including God. I started disliking church, not wanting to talk to anyone, started despising people who tried to lift me up, and I got sick and tired of talking to my family. That time was definitely one of the hardest places in my life. A few months later, my parents told me that we should look into a different school called Pacifica Christian in Newport Beach. When they said that, I became open to the idea because I just wanted to get away from everything that was going on. We scheduled a visit, and when the day came, I was really happy. Not because I got to see Pacifica, but because I got to skip school and get something to eat afterwards. When we pulled into the school, I thought to myself, why are we at an apartment complex? I mean, that's true. I soon found out that that was the school I was going to be attending. I was actually quite upset with my parents at the time to even consider this place. But I got my crutches out of the trunk and started hopping towards the school. But something weird was going on. Every time I moved my crutches closer to the door, it became easier and easier, and the burden felt like it was being lifted off of my shoulders. As soon as I crossed the threshold of that door, the feelings of sadness, confusion, and anger were immediately lifted off of me, and a fresh, cool breeze seemed to rush over me, and it wasn't the AC. I was welcomed by so many joyous and caring faces, seen in Dr. Robertson, Mrs. Parsons, Mr. O'Neill, Coach Barikoff, and Coach Gonzalez. I went through the tour, and I'd never been more excited about a school in my life. Everything in my spirit was at peace, and my whole being was experiencing joy like no other. That school visit allowed my mind and my body to get in line with the Word of God and assess what was going on in my life. I'm so thankful I dealt with it that day. When I got back in the car, I told my parents, I need to go to this school. I have to. And later we enrolled, and the day after my birthday was the first day of school. And that day was just amazing. Every day after that was such a joy and a blessing. The opportunity to experience this great education, to be with great people, and to truly experience the power of God flowing in this place. Through the ups and downs of the year, for me not being able to play basketball, to my father being diagnosed with cancer, this Pacifica community came up alongside me and supported me and cared for me, and has earned the title of family in my eyes. They have provided an atmosphere that can be only described as joy unspeakable. This joy hasn't been evident in my life, whether at church or at home. But joy is now evident in those places and many others because of God's power and His plan in bringing me to Pacifica. This school has been nothing short of stupendous. Every time I think of this school, I have nothing but good things to say. Isn't it amazing how I lost my joy and connection with God from being at the wrong school, and how God used another school to bring Himself and His joy back into my life? Earlier, I said that I used to identify myself as only a basketball player. After being here at this school, I've learned that I am a complex, multi-talented, and wonderful creation. In the humblest way possible. In the humblest way possible. I found that I shouldn't identify myself based off of things of this world, but instead as being a child of God. One's confidence and worth can be found in God. It's okay if personalities collide here because there's a mutual respect for one another. We're all trying to discover who we are, and discourse helps us realize where we stand. I've never grown tired of this school, despite the long travel days of taking the train and driving to school from the Inland Empire to not being able to play basketball this season. Joy has been prominent in my time at Pacifica, and God has definitely helped me and led me through difficult times. His help isn't always through the church or through the place where you think it'd be. God simply meets you where your faith is. Thank you.